today we're moving into a new unit. So we were just working with three-dimensional figures with our right rectangular prisms. So today we're moving into our next unit, which is on two-dimensional figures. And if you look at our shape here today, I'm sure you can guess what shape we're working with today. That's right, triangles. Okay, so just a couple things we're going to talk about because our learning target today is I can classify triangles based on their sides and angles. Okay, so looking at this triangle that I made out of the geosticks, so I see two sides are both green, so that means they're the same length. So a term that I'm going to use, I don't know if you heard it before or not, but these two sides right here that have the same length, they're congruent. So congruent means equal in measure. So these two sides here are congruent. Okay? So another term we're going to use is based on angles. Last year in fourth grade, you measured angles. So just a quick review of that. So right now, looking at this angle, what kind of angle did I make? That's right, acute. All right, so that's an acute angle. Oh, it's a cute little angle. Oh, there's another cute little angle. So all these are acute angles because they're less than a right angle or less than 90 degrees. So once I get to this point, so 90 degrees, so what kind of angle did I make? That's right, that's a right angle. So right angle exactly 90 degrees. Okay, so we go beyond that. So what kind of angle did I make now? That's right, obtuse. So that's an obtuse angle. That's an obtuse angle. So greater than 90, that's an obtuse angle. Okay, so once again, so we gotta keep this in mind when we classify triangles today, because we're gonna look at angles. So acute less than 90, so if it's exactly 90, that's a right. Ooh, do a better job than that. So that's a right angle, and then greater than that is obtuse. And then remember, so sides, we can go ahead and use the term congruent, so these have congruent sides. All right, so how many different triangles do you think there are? All right, there are actually 7 different types of triangles. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and focus on classifying based on sides. So there are 3 different categories we're gonna make here. So we can look at, hey, what are the triangles that all sides, congruent means equal, right? So 3 sides congruent. What about the ones that have 2 sides congruent? And what about the ones, hey, there's triangles that have no sides that are congruent. All right, so let me show you again so you think about that. So do you see 3 congruent sides, 2 congruent sides, or 0 congruent sides? So if I went too fast for you to think about all of that, you can always go back and do it again or pause it on each one. Okay, so let's go one at a time. So let's look at triangle number 1. Okay, and sometimes when working with 2D shapes, it's easy. You can go ahead and rotate, look at it from a different perspective. Sometimes that gives you a better view to go ahead and classify. So, but looking at triangle 1, I don't see any sides. So let me just go ahead and put it over here with this category. 0 congruent sides. Let's look at triangle 2. Okay, so it looks like, I would say, all 3 of those sides are exactly equal, or 3 congruent sides here. So let's put it here. All right, what about triangle 3? Okay, so sometimes when we look at it from a different view, a different perspective, it can help us out. So it looks like that one's a little bit shorter than that one. That's the longest side. So I put over here 0 congruent sides with triangle 1. All right, what about triangle 4? Thinking I might put it in that category as well. Doesn't look like there's any congruent sides. So 0 congruent sides. So all 3 of these triangles have 0 congruent sides. All right, triangle 5. So it looks like these 2 sides right here are congruent, but that one's longer. I'd put that in this category, 2 congruent sides. Looks like triangle 6 is like that too. 2 congruent sides, so that one's longer, so 2 congruent sides. Let's look at triangle 7. So it looks like that one would fit in that category as well, right? So 2 congruent sides. Okay, so now the names that we're going to give to these. So this triangle, where there's 3 congruent sides, we call that's right, equilateral. Okay, so these triangles where there's 2 congruent sides, what do we call that? There you go, you guys remember, isosceles. Okay, and then no congruent sides, all 3 sides are different lengths, 0 congruent sides. What do we call those? There we go, scalene. So that's an equilateral triangle. So those are isosceles triangles, and these are scalene triangles. Okay, so now we classified based on the sides. Now we're going to talk about the angles. Okay, so some triangles have 3 acute angles. All angles are acute, less than 90. Some triangles will have 1 right angle, and then some triangles will have 1 obtuse angle. All right, so let's reset. Let's go back to the beginning here. So let me put them in order so you can go ahead and see if you can spot the types of angles and the triangles here. Okay, so we're going to think about the angles. Okay, so once again, if I go too fast, you can always pause or rewind. So now you can think about it. So do you spot all angles are acute? Do you see a right angle? Do you see an obtuse angle? Okay, so looking at that triangle, think about what you see. Okay, once again, you can always pause or you can rewind to go ahead and think about that. All right, let's go back. So this one I spotted, ooh, there we go. There's a right angle. Okay, so I'm gonna put that there. That has 1 right angle. That once again, so I'm gonna rotate. So it looks like less than 90, less than a right angle, smaller than a right angle. So it looks like there's a 3 acute angles in triangle 2 there. Ooh, look at this one. So I can definitely see this angle right here. That's greater than 90 degrees, greater than a right angle. So that's obtuse. So I'm gonna put it in that category there. So it's got 1 obtuse angle. Okay, what about triangle 4? So I can see that's less than 90. That's less than 90. I rotate that. Sometimes it's easy if you rotate it. If I look at that, that's less than a right angle. So this one's got 3 acute angles. Okay, so let's put that there with that one. Okay, so let's see. So yes, that's acute, but watch when I rotate it. So let's see. Is that exactly 90? So it looks like a right angle right there. So sometimes you have to rotate it to see it a little bit easier. Okay, so let's put it there as it's got a right angle. Let's look at triangle 6. Acute, acute. Let's rotate it. Oh, look at it when I look at it from this view. May not have spotted before, but I can definitely see this angle right here. So that's greater than 90. That's an obtuse angle. So that's got 1 obtuse angle. Let me put it with that one. Last one, let's see. Less than 90, acute. Let's rotate this one here. You can definitely see that's an acute. So that's got 3 acute angles. Okay, so these triangles have 3 acute angles. What do we call those triangles? There you go, appropriately named. Hey, if they've got 3 acute angles, let's call those acute triangles. What about these ones that have a right angle? Bet you can guess. There you go, those are right triangles. And what about these ones that have obtuse angles? There you go, those are obtuse triangles. Okay, so we just named those based on the angles, but remember we just a second ago also classified them based on the sides. So why there's 7 different types? Because we can give them a first name and a last name. So we can go ahead and classify based on angles and sides. So now let's go ahead and do that. So a second ago, yes, we said these are acute triangles, but let's go back to what we said about the sides. So this remember, had all equal sides or congruent sides. So triangle 2 here, I can call this an acute equilateral triangle. I give it a first and last name. Or triangles aren't picky, I can call it an equilateral acute triangle. They don't care what their first name is, they don't care what their last name is. So there we go. All right, let's look at this triangle now. Once again, we just said it's an acute triangle, but however, remember we said there's no equal sides, no congruent sides. So we're gonna put over here. So what do we call that? Scalene acute, or once again, it's an acute scalene triangle. All right, here's another one that was acute. But this one, however, had 2 congruent sides. So that would go here. So what do we call it? Isosceles acute or acute isosceles. All right, so let's continue with the remaining ones. Okay, so let's see. These are our right triangles. Okay, so but remember this right triangle had 2 congruent sides. So 2 congruent sides is isosceles. So there's an isosceles isosceles right triangle, or we can call it right isosceles. Okay, what about the other right triangle? So, that right triangle, however, did not have any congruent sides, 0 congruent sides. So that triangle is right scalene or scalene right. Okay, so the last 2 triangles, these are both obtuse, so we've got that first name. But however, if we go back to the sides here, this one, remember, had 2 congruent sides. So we're going to put that under isosceles. So triangle 6 there is either obtuse isosceles or isosceles obtuse. And then our last one here, triangle 3, remember there were no congruent sides, so we got to put that under scalene. So we can call that a scalene obtuse or obtuse scalene triangle. So there's why there are 7 different triangles when we classify, give them a first and a last name based on their angles, based on their sides. So I'm sure you're looking at this saying, wait, isn't there a triangle that's supposed to go here and here? Here's your challenge. So remember, right triangle has to have one right angle. So can you draw a triangle that has a right angle where all sides are congruent? Give it a try, but you're not going to be able to do it. So there's no such thing as that triangle. Same thing as this one. Obtuse has to have one obtuse angle. So can you draw a triangle that has an obtuse angle where all 3 sides are congruent? You're not going to be able to do it. Go ahead and try as you might, but you're not going to be able to do it. So that's why there's 7 different triangles. Okay, so for today, there's no ticket to work like there has been. So while your ticket to work is you're going to go ahead and do the iReady assign lesson on triangles. All right, so give it a try.